Let's do this, Tom. Let's keep it American for you, and we're going to talk about the other game that hits something with something that looks like a bat, baseball. So we're going to transition now over to baseball. MLB is up and thriving, even though we're only 40 games in, not quite at the we're nowhere near the halfway mark, not even to the All-Star game.
And all we talking about is pitchers and what they're putting on their hands and what they're putting on their hats and what they're putting on their gloves.
I love it.
You know, I'm like this, and this is me, and I'm going to complain. But
Imagine.
Yeah, that's right. So back in the day when we had steroid era and all these guys hitting all these home runs and the pitchers couldn't do anything, I mean, without a guy toasting it or ripping it up the middle, because steroids made a big difference in a base hit. It got through the hole a little bit quicker than it would have if he was not on steroids. It's just how it does once you hit a bat. But now that it's become to the pitchers, they want to check them for everything that they are doing. You know, come on. To me, I like where we don't score 12, 15, 20 runs a game, because that's what baseball's about. A lot of people don't like that. I believe in defense no matter what sport that you are playing, and baseball's the same way. I know the pitcher from Tampa Bay, now he's complaining that he's complaining that it's messed up his arm because he didn't have the stuff. You know, to soothe his arm or whatever to put on his arm. And, you know, and I understand that because that's where he's reaching over there so he can grip the ball a little bit tighter. Now he's saying he's having to put it deeper into his palm, that, you know, his pitches are not making it. But I don't know. Come on, get real. And now we're going to talk about, when the steroids issue was out there, we talk about banning them, giving them 90 days, whatever. Now we're talking about a pitcher that if he's caught, I'm still going to pay you, Tom.
Yeah, he still gets paid.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it only like a 10-day suspension?
It is.
too?
So you're going to miss, 2 games?
Yeah, in your rotation. Probably.
Yeah. But now that I'm going to sit back and I'll say, well, if we catch you, don't worry about it. You know, I'm still going to pay you.
Listen, I just wish baseball would be transparent with their cheating rules. 100%. You know, we talked about steroids for years, and to me, they'll say, oh, it almost tarnished the game. Excuse me, that's the most talked era of baseball ever. So baseball, I think maybe it's time you wrap your arms around that era. And now, what is this going to be? The tack era, whatever it's called now, spider tack or whatever it is.
But I hate to think that, I mean, we're talking about it really.
Yeah, but how far back does this go, though?
But I mean, I'm going to get with you because, I mean, we talk about how much it impacted the game. It did, because televisions would cut in all the time for Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa's bats.
Right.
To bring it on national television, and then we find out it's a flute. Now, how does that make America feel? It's like watching wrestling.
And
then you find out it's fake.
Yes.
I
do not like stuff. I don't like fiction stuff. That's not part of life.
Terry, technically, what you were watching was not fiction. It was just enhanced.
So a guy got pumped up.
It was enhanced.
So he could really hit this ball a lot farther.
Listen, I'm just saying, you still got to be able to take your eyes and hands to the ball when it's being thrown at you at 95, 96 miles per hour. So whether or not it goes the extra 100 feet is beyond me. But you still got to be able to make contact with that ball that's coming through.
Terry would buy a $40 ticket to see a strikeout, and most people pay $40 to see a guy hit at 500 feet. What do you want to see, Terry? 100. Do you want to see a strikeout? Or
I want to see one.
I kind of want to see both.
Pitchers.
I like both. I like the big
Tom,
bats.
I cannot even think you would even say that.
Why? I like outs in the games I'm umpiring. But
okay,
there we
go. See what I'm saying?
Trying to get done.
Fan, I want to see that. What do I want to see outs for if I'm a fan? I want to see.
Well, I'll say this: I bet you a lot of Mets fans love it, but don't really want to watch Jacob deGrom because
you cannot score for him.
You can't score him.
Yeah, because he averages 100 miles an hour a pitch.
Yeah, and it's it's his .5 ERA, and he himself has more hits than hits he's allowed. Now that's ridiculous. But at the same time, if it's all because of tack and the sticky substance that he puts on his hands,
it ain't because of tack. He's good.
I would say now. Don't get me wrong. I think him throwing 100 is because his shoulder and elbow is pretty dang strong. And it's just a whip, But what they keep talking about is the rotations of the baseball, and how if they get up to a certain point, I think the breaks are a lot harder whenever they're doing their breaking ball pitches. One of the people that actually came out and said it that they were talking about was a few years ago. It was Trevor Bauer in a tweet. He said, if my rotations ever get above a certain number, know I have something on my hands. And I think it was kind of like taking a jab at people that were using it, getting those kind of rotations. Sure enough, his pitches,
he was right.
He was right. But sure enough, I think his pitches started hitting that kind of rotation too. So I think he said, well, if I can't beat him, join him. But at the same time, pitchers were getting absolutely blasted lately. I mean, even after they did the change to the baseball, they were still getting absolutely blasted some games with home runs. And I think to fix the problem, I think the experimental league, or what is it's not a minor league. It is like a minor league that's trying the base or the mound being brought back like an extra 5 feet or so. I think that's what they should implement in the MLB. Now, granted, it might take a few miles per hour off the velocity of the ball, but I don't know. It's well, that or make the plate bigger, so the strike zone is bigger. Because I just don't know how to fix it. Because it's like baseball will overreact to one thing, and then we're going to have a bunch of strikeouts. And then they'll overreact to that, and we get a bunch of home runs. Well, and there's not just a happy medium. And it's tough that baseball really, but for me, I'll say it like this. For me, I don't know about you guys. Baseball on television is really not the most exciting playoff baseball I love, but it's not the most exciting product you can put on the television, especially right now.
If I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to spend my next 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes, I'm going to want to see 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, because I know I'm not going to have to spend my whole day in there. No, that's what I'm saying. But for y'all would rather walk in there and see
I'm leaving
final
in the
score
7th inning anyways.
15-14, and it took almost 4 hours to play the game.
I'm leaving in the 7th inning anyways. Got to beat traffic.
Or you do the other way around. You watch the last 3-4 innings.
Yeah. So you do about like NASCAR.
Yeah.
Once they start,
or even
you come back the last 100 miles.
Even pro basketball, I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but there's so many fouls it slows the game down.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
It is.
I agree.
It's I don't know. I feel like these leagues are trying to find some sort of way to get their ratings to start going back up by putting a better product on television for a consumer aspect. Because at the end of the day, these sports leagues are entertainment. That's what they are. We watch them for our entertainment. We have a deep emotional connection to it, but it is entertainment, and you're not going to watch. Anybody's not going to watch if they're bored, or if they feel like it's not going anywhere.
Y'all sit here and y'all tell me this, but then when I look at y'all and I figure out y'all not going to go in there and watch DeGrom pitch. Yes, you are. You're going to go in there and watch
I would
him.
Because
knowing
that's a
that,
superstar.
hey, they're not even going to score a run.
He's a superstar. I would go in to witness what is looking to be a historically great season. Just like you were talking about with the McGuire and Sammy Sosa. That was a historically great season. You couldn't keep your eyes off of it. Now, it's anytime history's being made, you kind of want to be able to say I was there.
And
I witnessed it.
And people who didn't even watch baseball were watching that.
Right.
I mean, really, my wife, she come in there, when that would come on, she'd go, oh, no, is he going to hit another?
But I'll be honest with you. And I think baseball really needs to take a look at this. If it's not MLB Tonight or us on Saturday mornings, nobody talks baseball. None of your major talk shows or some podcast that's focused on baseball.
They talk more about football minicamp than they do about baseball.
Yes, they talk about football minicamp and Aaron Rodgers being out in Hawaii with his fiance than anything else. So I don't know what baseball has to do to somehow become more relevant in headlines. Because think about it. What we're talking about right now is the only thing baseball really has been relevant about all year this year.
It is.
It's almost like it has to be a cheating story, because last year's was, okay, it's a shortened season because of COVID, but the Astros are finally playing after the cheating scandal with them winning the World Series.
Or are they talking about Arizona Diamondbacks, how many road losses
23,
they have?
24 in a row. It's the most in 100 years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
But think about it. But think about it.
Nobody's
talking. We're talking about a losing streak, and no one's talking about how in basketball a few years ago when the Heat or the Warriors were on like a significant string of game win streak. Nobody's talking about that for baseball though. Even though some team out there might be on a 10 or 15 game win streak, we don't know because baseball is not as to a lot of people is not as intriguing as it used to be. Say the steroid era. I think, and I hate to say it, well, I don't hate to say it because I think it's true, but some people are not going to like hearing me say this. I think baseball's peak was steroid era. Maybe when it first got started and that's when it first got named America's pastime. But if you're talking just on television, people were tuning in to see, everybody's excited about, like there's an excitement to it because you're going to go there and there's something a spectacle to see, which is going to be, is he going to absolutely crush this thing today, maybe 2 or 3 times in a game? Yeah, I think it would have been the steroid era.
Well, I knew the other night, the Giants hit 5 home runs in one game.
I've seen Atlanta hit like 9 in a game. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. Now that brings me to my story I wanted to talk about for baseball. Reports have come out